program-wise?
I mean, I met with Career Link. And I met with
Who'd you meet there with?
Teresa.
Megan.
She's doing good job. They're coming up this week for pre-entrance.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be interesting. She's gonna give me some more information.
Now, do we think re-entry?
Good morning, who do we have on the line?
What about people who want to
Hi,
supervise
Brian.
jail?
That would be
Was
the
it ringing for you until right now?
Yeah, we need to get that info out.
for like
Once you
90
get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the,
And then I met with West Branch too.
there's Matt.
I met with Shannon.
Okay.
Okay, so you're the only one on the line then at this point.
Are we utilizing that resource?
Yeah, they provided me with kind of release of information sheets and their like screening sheets, and then when I'm setting people up for appointments with them, I'm gonna run through those and email them over.
Excuse me one second. Has he been returned?
If he has a day, he's on his way.
Okay.
You gotta be on it.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, that federal detainer, that's a big.
We had a call out this morning, so Jeff was waiting for Joel to get there to have an extra body, because we didn't have the bodies to do it. We have options. We have a trainee today, and you know how it always is, and you guys probably never do that kind of stuff.
Short staff.
Yeah,
No,
short staff,
no.
having
You guys
people
keep
that are
involved. So we will get into that.
Morning. Okay.
What else is going on? You be out PRC today?
Yeah.
Somebody's on already? Who's on?
There we go. Brian Luke is on. The only other prison board member that was supposed to be on is Judge Butts.
We're not going to have the presence of his
Good morning, who joined?
Good morning, this is Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Mr.
Blue, Mr. Blue.
No, he's going to participate by phone.
Great. No.
Well, he's on. He should be on.
We're happy to have him on the line.
Looks good. I like it.
It's the summer look.
Do you have any connections there?
Just a name on it.
I think 2 years, I might go work for Jamie. I can secure that.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I'd be good at that.
She's still gonna be on.
They don't know. Who's-
Did you read the article? Did you get my text?
I was driving, I had my
You know, backup say, yeah, and he said, he said, I didn't throw one running a little late. And he said, the one that you're
needs to cancel or
His what?
yeah, he said it was on calls for
Why what?
because I think it had to do with the fact that he didn't put in his facts. He gave all these, he made this rule on the walls, and I had it done. Backed it up and no facts were provided.
So,
Right.
but he said, I didn't.
I haven't read the decision.
It's just, I mean, I didn't, it's the first I heard about it.
And
I saw it yesterday.
I didn't need to smear anything.
No, Smith one.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, no,
But
I.
it's good news.
It was a busy day.
Yeah. It's good news.
There's nothing that's gonna get done. Nobody does. We're too caught up, well, that's that. You know, like, you're never gonna get any work done. That's the world we're in.
Yeah.
Morning. Do we have enough?
Are you caught, or do you have all that it takes?
We have a quorum
Is
now.
Ronnie?
Throw me out.
Oh, I knew.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This time I'd like to convene the prison board and seek approval of the minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. We will take a roll call of the board members.
Just so that they know,
Yeah.
in case anybody needs to know who's here.
Anyone on the phone?
There is no board member.
No board members on the phone. So we have Nikki, Scott, Rick, myself,
So we have a quorum with the four.
with the four. Okay, we do have a quorum then. All right. This time I'd like to have a motion to approve the bills.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, approval personnel actions.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have several personnel actions. The personnel actions are mostly at the prison. We have Kayla Heverly, Daniela Escaño, Harley Doherty, Jean Miller, Bernice Hale, Chloe Perrin, Dennis Lynn, and Abriel Rakestraw, and Justin Lozelle, all full-time correctional officer reliefs at the prison. And then we have Logan Stroop, who is a full-time resident supervisor at the pre-release center, and Lucretia Skellinger, who is a full-time female resident supervisor at the pre-release center. We would ask for approval of those personnel actions.
Okay, would there be any reason why we should take these individually as a vote, or
I'll move to approve the entire list of personnel actions.
could I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Thank you. Informational highlights.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How are we doing with the staffing? How many, we're still down, how many guards?
We just conducted some interviews this week, and Ryan, how many, we did submit some people.
We have 3 more coming on board, and that puts us at, I think we need 8 at this point, counting those 3 coming on board. Plus 2 supervisors.
Yes.
Yes, so we have 2 vacant supervisor positions that will more than likely be pulled from the CO pool, so that will put us back to needing. We're making some headway, but we're also losing some staff at the same time, so it's tough to gain ground. But we are seeing an increase in applications. HR's doing a great job working with us to get people scheduled and people in front of the commissioner, the board of commissioners for approval for hire. So.
Okay. Do you feel the Keltier system, the new system, has been very beneficial?
We've seen an increase in the amount of applicants that come directly to us through that. I've shared with Jessica, there's been some hiccups with it that we've had, but it's just a new system that we're all getting used to, but I think it's beneficial. I can see that it will help pay off for us, yes.
Good. Good news. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Warden?
Moving on to the population report, in the month of July, the prison carried an average of 185.32 males and 32.71 males at the pre-release center. Our average daily male population then for the month was 218.03, and we had a peak of 228 in the month. For females, we carried 22.58 at the prison and 10.26 at the pre-release center. That's an average daily population of 32.84 and a peak in the month of 37. Our total average daily population of males and females then was 250.87 with a peak of 259. The in-home detention program carried an average of 33.58 males and 5.68 females. And then we did have, in the beginning of July, we still had a few inmates out for overcrowding transfers. We have since been able to return those, and we have nobody out at this time, but we carried an average of 1.94 males out in that month for overcrowding transfers. Our total population then was 252.81 for the month. That's, you can see, just slightly down from what it was last month. And in comparison to July of last year, we were at 266.72. In July of last year, we're at 252.81 this year. The next report is the prison disciplinary report. The disciplinary committee, chaired by Deputy Warden Barnes, conducted 12 hearings in the month of July. 11 of those hearings resulted in a finding of guilty with disciplinary lockup time, and one of the hearings was found not guilty. There were 8 inmates that had hearings in the month, and 1 inmate had greater than 1 incident. There was also 21 informational reports that were generated by staff in that month. And Ryan, is there anything else that you wish to add regarding the disciplinary report?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Report that follows that is your pre-release center report. Good morning. Who joined the call?
This is Judge Buck.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
We are on the informational highlights section of your agenda and just starting on the pre-release center report.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So in the month of July, we averaged 1 male on work release, 31 males on work crew, and 10 females on work crew, for a total of 32 males and 10 females. Our average then year to date is 34 and 8 males and females. And a program highlight at the pre-release center was that the staff completed Stop the Bleed and Drug Trend training. That was held on July 19th and was led by Sergeant Joe DeFrancisco.
Warden, may I ask a question about pre-release?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you give me the status of the availability of pre-release for men and women and what that looks like if it is available? For sentencing purposes?
The status of the pre-release center?
Yeah.
We have,
Like, are picking people to be, and are they able to go out?
yes,
If they're able to go out, what are they able to go out for?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I'll do my best to answer. Every person who is committed to the prison is still put under a 5-day quarantine protocol. That's based on guidance from our medical director and also guidance from the Department of Health and from the DOC. After 5 days, they're tested, and if they are eligible to go to the pre-release center, then we would screen them and they can move out directly to the pre-release center. That's males and females.
Currently, it looks like this from the first report today, the PRC total male beds available were 70 and females were 22.
Yes.
So can a person be sentenced to PRC and go to their employment? I think is what she said.
Yes, yes, work release is open right now. When we opened work release at that time, we had people on work crew. And we can't just automatically transfer everybody over because that takes work crews away. And some of them aren't eligible for work release. So we set up some criteria at that time, whereas a person who was sentenced but didn't have a job could come out to the pre-release center. They would have to work on work crew for a period, was it 30 days, Rob, that we started?
I believe it was 60.
Okay, 60 days, and be incident-free. As long as they didn't have any infractions, then they could be considered for work release. I know that the pre-release center was contacted by at least one outside business and trying to find out if we have people that are eligible. I think some of the issue, and at least there was in one case, was that initial quarantine time at the prison, that 5-day quarantine time. There was a person who was going to be sentenced, and the courts wanted to know if he could be moved out to pre-release, and we said yes. You know, after the 5 days, we could move him to the pre-release center. But there was that concern that his employer wouldn't hold his job for those 5 days. but for the safety of the entire facility, we're not at this point being given authorization not to do that quarantine of initial commitments and testing for COVID. Does that answer the question, Judge?
Yeah, but I guess the other part of it was just if a person, has, like, let's say, been evaluated and is determined to be appropriate for, say, intensive outpatient, or even that slightly higher level of treatment where they meet from Monday to Thursday from 8 to noon, let's say, would you let somebody out for that, or is it only for work?
That's not a question that we have, that we've been asked or even had a chance to discuss. Just off the top of my head, I don't know if we're taking people out to treatment right now. Is anybody involved in treatment, Rob?
No, we haven't done that. The programming hasn't, we haven't taken people off the program.
And certainly that's something we can review, Judge, is having people transported out for outside treatment. We can definitely look into that. If that's something that the courts are looking at or wanting to consider at the time of sentencing.
Well, actually, it's for a treatment court consequence. Like, let's say a person lost their residence, and because of some other programmatic violations, they're in the county prison, but they can still go to treatment so that they're just not, just in being housed, that there is at least some therapeutic, treatment going on. We just wondered if there was the opportunity to have people at pre-release be able to go to counseling, or maybe even being dropped off at West Branch to be able to undergo a drug and alcohol assessment. It seems like it's been forever, but I don't recall what the options were pre-COVID for those types of situations. My vague memory was they could go out, but I wasn't sure.
Yes, and West Branch comes in and does assessments. West Branch could come to the pre-release center and do an assessment. We also have Polycom available at the pre-release center if they were able to connect via Polycom. And if somebody had an assessment, they could be transported to West Branch for that assessment.
Oh, okay. Great, that's really helpful, thank you.
Or do we do any, in the prison, do we have people going to any groups for counseling?
Not at this time, no.
But I mean, did we ever?
We did,
Yeah, in the
yes,
past
yes,
we did,
yes.
right. Just with COVID,
Yes.
we've been constrained.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know okay, that's what I
Yes.
wanted to know. Okay.
Personally, I like to see people be able to go out to PRC and go back to their employments, as PRC was intentionally designed to do, which is to help the individual be able to
Yes.
keep their job in the community. And, it's a tool for the courts to sentence, so they could go to, they were still incarcerated, but they were able to go to their jobs.
I don't know, and I'd have to defer to Rob whether he's seeing a lot of referrals for people coming out with full-time employment. I don't know if that's...
Well, not a lot, no. We have 2 people on work release right now, and I don't
And
know
then,
if
is there a date or an estimated time where you believe that people can come into the pre-release center and run meetings like AA or NA?
Chris, have you been contacted by anyone from AA or NA to come in?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we have had some, right now, we have a new chaplain. Our former chaplain retired, so we have a new chaplain who is going through some training and then is prepared to start. And the goal or the intent is to get our programs, or try to get our routine, not just the programs, just the daily routine back to what the normal routine was prior to COVID. And that means integrating some of the housing units back together for recreation and for some other programming. So I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. It's encouraging to see that, and it's going to create a lot of training in our facility because we have a lot of staff who have never worked in our facility without COVID. or without the restrictions related to COVID. So it's going to be a whole new system.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. The next report is the bail release program report. And in the month of July, the supervised bail program carried an average of 134.8 clients. That's broken down to 43.74 on supervised bail, 86.29 on intensive supervised bail, and 4.77 on supervised release on driving under suspension sentences. Those 134.8 clients saved 4,179 bed days at the prison. The next report is your mental health snapshot report. The snapshot was taken on August 9th of this year, and on that day there were 304 total inmates within the prison system that were counted. Of those, there were 258 males and 46 females. 130 males and 6 females were found to have no mental health history at that time, and they were under roster A. That was 44.74% of our population. We had 59 males and 5 females under roster B that had past mental health history, but there were no active symptoms within the last year. That's 21.05% of the population. 69 males and 27 females were under roster C, having some current mental health history, and that's 31.58% of the population. No males and 8 females were under roster D, and they were experiencing serious mental illness, and that's 2.63% of the population. Inmates receiving psychotropic medications at the pre-release center, there were 34 males counted and 3 were receiving meds, and 2 males on work release, and neither of those inmates were receiving meds. That's 8.33% of the population. There were 11 females, and 4 of which were receiving meds. That's 36.36% of that population. At the prison, 183 inmates total were counted on the day, and 33 were receiving meds, 18.03%. 20 females were counted, and 7 of which received meds. That's 35% of the population. The total percent of inmates receiving meds at the pre-release center was 14.89. The total percent at the prison was 19.7. And within the entire prison system, 18.80% of the population were on some type of psychotropic medication. The additional informational highlights.
Well, while we're talking about that, will this center, the health center, will we be able to pull any meds out of the health center, from our pharmacy there?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think that they are going to stock the kind of psychotropic meds that are being given here.
If it's something that we could ask.
We could look, absolutely.
To see if there's any.
We might be able to save money by buying them through that. We'll have to check with.
We'll check.
And we do contract with Diamond Pharmacy.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
we get our prescriptions right now. We could do a cost comparison between what Diamond offers and what the health center would offer.
Okay.
And then don't forget how Pinnick helps us control that cost too.
These are pretty powerful drugs, though. I think the psychotropic drugs are not the typical. The drugs being given at the prison, right? They're.
I'm not sure what the formulary is going to be
Yeah.
at the health center.
Yeah.
I can get a copy of our formulary currently
Yeah.
and present
maybe-
that
Yeah. Give it to
Give that
Rita.
to-
Rita.
to let you look at it, or
Yeah.
Additional informational highlights. On June 27th, Sergeant Joe DeFrancisco received certification as a Stop the Bleed instructor. On July 14th, prison staff received training in drug trends and Stop the Bleed training. That was led by Sergeant Joe DeFrancisco and was also trained by Barb Vanasky. And Barb's a member of the West Branch Drug and Alcohol Abuse Commission. On July 28th, Training Sergeant Joe DeFrancisco provided that same Stop the Bleed training for the staff at the Resource Management Services Department. And on July 7th, 21st, 26th, and 27th, various prison staff participated in firearms training. That training was led by Chief Firearms Instructor Lieutenant Harry Entz.
Warden, each month we see training that's provided by Sergeant Joe DeFrancisco and Lieutenant Harry Entz. And they've been a tremendous asset by their training this staff. And that saves the county a lot of money. They don't have to go out to another outside agency or transport to a different location to do the trainings. And I want to thank both of them and compliment both of them for providing that training to our staff members at the prison, especially with the younger staff coming in, constant turnover, and it's a tremendous asset to have.
And I will share that information with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Warden, when someone is brought into the prison, are they
Inmate or staff member?
inmate?
Okay.
Inmate. Are they screened for whether they have any drugs in their system at the time?
We don't urine test every single commitment that comes in the building.
Okay.
We do an assessment, a medical assessment, and there is a self-report. And if there is concern, perhaps if APO brings somebody in and would like us to drug test them, we will. Or if we have suspicion or concern, we will. We have the ability to drug test. We don't drug test every single commitment to the prison.
A while back, we know, I think when we were getting, a couple of years ago, when we were getting a report on the GEO, we learned that K9, the synthetic marijuana, was not showing up in the drug screening that we had, and we ended up buying a different type of test. So I was talking to some
I
constituents.
think you mean K2.
K2, I'm sorry, yeah. K9 is the dog. K2, thank you. I was talking to some constituents who've been visitors at the prison, and they were telling me the bath salts are not picked up on the screening. Do you guys have any knowledge about that? Whether they'd been doing bath salts, and I said, you know, what are you doing the bath salts for as opposed to something else? And they said it doesn't show up on the tox screening for either, on the drug trends that was just done. Has there been any discussion about that, about whether bath salts show up? I guess they are a chemical formulation that's slightly off from methamphetamine, and it's off enough that it's not picked up on it.
I don't know about bath salts.
Okay.
We just recently went to what's called a 20-panel cup. That means it tests for 20 different substances.
Right.
I'm not sure if bath salts are on there. I believe K2 is on there.
Yeah.
The problem, the issue, I guess, with testing for these substances is they're very easily modified chemically.
Right.
And so new forms of those drugs come out, and I don't know if the test is specific to all of the components in that current form, and if it changes just slightly, if it tests for that. I'm not knowledgeable enough on how those tests are done, but yes, we have seen, and not as much recently, but we have seen people committed on those substances, and they have a pretty drastic effect on their behavior, especially when they're withdrawing from them at the jail.
Yeah, there's a lot of bath salts in the community. I mean, I can just tell you from my own experience and seeing that it's, and I think it's because they've modified the formula so that it does not get picked up on the drug screening.
And Judge Butts is probably far more knowledgeable than I
Yes.
am, being the chair of the drug court program, to discuss if she has any knowledge on those trends, and whether she's seeing a lot of that coming through the drug court system. What we're seeing, obviously, is a lot of methamphetamine. Opiate use has declined a little, but it's still very active in the community. But a lot of Suboxone and other opiate use too.
Thank you.
We see a lot of people using substances to avoid detection. So if we know that the person has a history of bath salt use, we'll have a special test that we'll administer, or what we've decided to do as a group is maybe when we get a sense that a couple people are using a certain substance, we'll just run everybody through it, even those who don't have a history of it, just to see if that's exactly what they're trying to do, is use something that they figure we're not screening for. But we're seeing exactly everything that you're seeing. But then we've got some really old school people who are heavy into cocaine and marijuana and just haven't gotten a medical marijuana card yet. So unfortunately, we've seen it all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Those are all the informational highlights then that I have.
Thank you. At this time, go to old business and reentry program.
Good morning.
Morning.
So to start out with the adult probation report, there was 23 sentenced and 47 adult probation. That comes to a total of 70 for the program population. In addition to this, and this isn't on the form, but I believe we're going to add it onto the form. So in addition to the 70 program people for the program population, we had our 4 pretrial cases too. So those are our Rule 600 pretrial cases that we just started. So that would make for a total of 74. So out of those 74, 55 of those were male and 19 were female. Moving on to the GPS and alcohol monitoring services, we had 34 active clients receiving services. 5 of those were alcohol monitors, 8 of those were GPS monitors, 18 were home guard monitors, and 3 were the SL2 breathalyzers. And for the month of July, we had 12 total intakes. Moving on to the in-prison statistics, as of July 31st, we had 40 active participants and 3 pending participants. Since January of 2022, there was 74 intakes completed, 56 LSIRs completed, 64 transitional action plans created, and a total of 171 sessions completed. The total participants released were 95, and the referrals and appointments made were 49, and additional resources given were 163. Total referrals made to the program were 93. 61 of those came from the prison, and 32 of those came from the pre-release center. Since January of 2022, we had 13 individuals refuse treatment. This number has dropped since last month because I was able to pull in 2 of the people that were still at PRC that had refused earlier in the year and kind of talk them through it again. So this dropped from 15 to 13 for this month. And total referrals broken down by month, for July there were 11 total referrals. Of the referrals broken down by sentence, there were 12 probation violations, 22 max outs, 33 new cases, 24 domestics, and 2 contempt cases. And then the statistics for reentry, the average population per day was 76, total intakes was 12, total discharges was 12. Of those 12, 7 of those were successful,
and total EM participants was 42, 34 of those being adult and 8 being juvenile.
So I have a question for
Yeah.
I think the judge would be the one to ask. Judge, we have 4 people that are now in the program as a result of Rule 600. And are we anticipating more people going into the program because of Rule 600? And how long are these people going to be on the program because of Rule 600? Will they be months or will it be a year? Do you have any time frame?
Well, the first question is the reason why they're there is because they're either not eligible or not accepted by the supervised bail program. So they needed to be out and they needed some supervision, so that's why I reached out to GO to be able to keep an eye out for them. The second question, that I'm not certain of, they're all on the trial list. And it's possible, the next jury selection is in October, so it will be at least through probably the end of November, because that's when the next trial term has concluded. My anticipation is it wouldn't be up for a year, because they would then have that Rule 600 year time frame that they need to be brought to trial within 1 year. So my hope is it will be as short as possible, and know that I only use GEO because for whatever reason they're not accepted by supervised bail.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Judge, there's no problem with using the GEO program for that, right? I mean, that's the point.
No.
That's the point of the program, is so that we can keep people out who we can get out, right?
It's kind of an alternative. It's a hybrid opportunity for this Rule 600 group of people. They're not technically run through reentry, but because our numbers are low compared to the cap, I asked them if I could use them for this service, which is essentially day reporting, but they're really very helpful when it comes. One person was reporting by day, didn't have a residence. Probably within half a day, they found him a residence, and now he's even able to work in the community. So they've been able to give some case management opportunity, just like intensive supervised bail or supervised bail might be able to if the person was there. In fact, one of the people transitioned back to supervised bail because they were able to find a residence, and that appears to be the reason why they were refused by supervised bail, because they didn't have a local address. So, so it's not my choice to use GEO, but if supervised bail can't supervise them, or they're not eligible for their program for some reason, then GEO is willing to have them report every day so we can keep track of them and then give them support with them, helping them with resources for employment, housing. We can have them urine screened, breathalyzed, so we know if they're relapsing. And the feedback that I get from the public defender's office, who I think has the majority of those handful of people, says that it's been very positive for their people.
Okay. We may want to look. I think actually our cost per successful discharge client has been declining. So periodically I'll run the total payments we've done to GEO, which is $5,820,011, not counting the savings on the electronic monitoring. And I just divide it by the successfully discharged clients. So it's about $10,601. And I think it used to be up in the range of 11,000. So I don't know whether it means that people are getting through the program better or faster or what, but it might be worth looking at what that's been over the 5 years or 7 years that we've had GEO. I think it's going down, which is a good thing, 8 years this September, yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Prison board meetings, the next meeting will be at the prison are 9-9. And we'll go, any new business? Okay, we are going into executive session, so I'd like to adjourn. And we will reconvene. Recess.
Recess.
We'll recess and we will reconvene.
Other than Solicitor Bluth, Judge Butts, and Jill, is there anyone else on the line? Jill, can you give me your extension? Because we'll need you to disconnect, and then I'll call you back so you can get back in to take the minutes after the executive session.
Absolutely, thank you. It is 2240.
Okay, I will call you if you can disconnect, and if the solicitor and Judge Butts can remain on the line.
And we are reconvening after this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No Mets.
They're playing the Phillies this week.
I know. I was up there last
Prepare to get swept.
Saturday for a day-night doubleheader with the Braves.
Yeah, they won both those games.
Me and Josh were both games.
And what did Serger started the second game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, Phillies get shorted over this weekend.
So the programming today.
Well done.
Yeah. You know, probably done. I mean, I don't know. But I think I feel super much. I think the judge has been working on some things. That's kind of what I heard there.
Yeah, I don't.
She said it at least 3 times. Supervised it. I had to do this. Well, you know, I mean, it's me. Or you just kind of used to that.
I'm just used to it.
Yeah.
I don't play that much soccer, so it's mostly time. I'm not super. So that's not my problem.
Not playing it. Yeah. So this is someone getting terminated.
Yeah.
Another guard.
Yeah.
Always seems to be.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Our interview went well yesterday.
What?
We had a female RS1. She about 48, 49 years old. Used to work with Lindsay. Sometimes out of corrections and some stuff in the medical field. And the for doctors and things like that. And it's interesting getting back into correctional field. So she sounds good in terms of applicants that we get. She was really, I guess, refreshing.
Yeah.
We might have to send her to DOC if she accepts. We definitely offer her a position.
So where's that leave you? Down in the
We're down to now full-time RS1s. But I mean, in terms of overall, we have a driver starting the 29th, and she should also be starting the 29th. That'll put us down to 4 days, 2 full-time, 2 part-time, and that's a big improvement right there.
Yeah.
When we get up around the 7th and 9th, it's a little bit worrisome.
Oh, yeah.
When we get down to around 5 or less.
Right, and this part-time doesn't even.
The part-timer that's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Because it's just convenient. We had a situation yesterday, actually, where we had to take a female down to be released. Making Coleman, I'm sure you're familiar with that. And she, we only have one female in the entire facility. My dog's like, hey, what do I do? He's now supervisor. He's getting asked different questions than he did as far as one. He said, oh, we have Eve here. We'll have to have a male corner cover the female side. So I probably should do it. I said, we have a part-time driver that's a female. Yeah, but she's a trainee. I said, yeah, all she has to do is ride along with the male staff, and we're fine. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so, but that's where the part-timers come in. When you get in a situation where,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes there's a special request from the prison, Because instead of having, you know, 2 people. on the
Yeah,
facility-
and you're gonna need them taking more appointments.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know, and we already talked about this, and Brad knows it. I mean, he's not, he's intelligent, he sees it, he's tuned in. But, you know, the guidelines, the medical directives, having these people not go to programming, right? And even these people who work, coming back to the facility, not that that's any different than what, you know, our 35 staff do every day.
Right.
Every day, every shift. There's
Right.
people coming in from them and in the community, all day
Yeah.
long, supervised.
Well, we got the inspection.
You got what?
We got the inspection.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah.
I've barely seen him this week because
Yeah.
he's finishing the budget. And then we'll go right next week into inspection. And we really gotta get, there's so many we really gotta get done. I'm just waiting. E&Ms.
Jesse asked me about it yesterday, and I'm like, it's in the hands of.
Yeah, so I saw his big list, it's on there,
Yeah.
I saw it. We gotta get MAT. We gotta get it done. It's taking way too long.
Yeah.
I get calls all the time. And turning that back on is gonna be a pain. It's gonna be a lot of work for them. And it's not a, as you know now,
Right.
it's not a,
Right, nothing's ever easy.
no, yeah. Yeah.
Well, even yesterday, so our work police guys, they have a right to go to the gym, right?
Mhm.
So what we done is we monitor them and said, okay, based on your schedule, your availability, you know, what do you want your gym time to be? Because we don't, you know, we have that weight room, we have the weight room in the seat hall.
Mhm.
No one's wanted it until now. Nobody wants the gym. So we gotta, you know, we're gonna get him, give him his hour, figure out what works for him, and give him his gym time. But in the meantime, how do we get him to the gym? Well, we gotta close down some seat lounge, get him to the gym, and then station a staff member outside the gym.
Yeah.
See all these hoops we have to jump in, because this guy leaves the facility for the day. And then again, you go back to the staff member that was on the facility, and it seems so ridiculous, is what it seems. But there's no other way to do it, because that's what our medical director.
Yeah, right.
And anyone who were to go outside that is
Yeah.
going way on a limb for no reason at all.
Yeah.
It's up to their neck on the chopping block. We'll do what the medical, you know, people tell us to do.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No,
And staff, they know that, and residents pick up on it, staff, like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I know, but that's what we have to do.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, there was, I do have something, I have it written down back in the office. I have it right here. And with everything that's going on, you know what, I might not even bring it up, we'll talk about it a few months later. But in short, it's our work crews going out, and working for other departments and not really being compensated for it. So, for example, you know, our work crew goes and works for Habitat, they bring in $105 a day, right? They can work for, you know, the parks and streets or whatever project they're doing. They clean a township building. So yesterday I got a call from landfill, a new supervisor, his name's Ty Gray.
Oh, I know, Tom.
Okay. Ty calls me, and he wants to know if we can have the female crew go over and clean the offices over there. And this is something that's happened before. And, so I get with Cameron, and basically, what happens is that the landfill then will reimburse us the inmate wages, so 30 cents an hour for maybe 3 females for the day. We're gonna spend more time and cost us more money to drive that crew over there and back than what our department's gonna make doing that. was something, they charge that department. I know it's county, but it comes out of one county's budget, one department's budget to another. So, to me, it seems a little like, okay, why are we taking a crew that could be, providing, $105 a day to offset costs?
Now, would that crew be doing that?
Would that crew be doing what?
No.
Well, maybe if they're working in the garden or something like that,
Yeah.
no, so they're not always making money.
Right.
But, so my thought was, and again, this is just something I'm thinking about, and on that long list, we can wait until, maybe even beginning of the year. But my thought is that something we want to revisit, where we have a set cost across the board, whether you're a municipality, a township, habitat, a church, or another county department. It's, if our crews are there, it's $105 a day for our crew. You get a foreman and you get, crew of workers. Sometimes that crew could be a couple guys, and sometimes it could be up to 6. I just think it'd be easier to be fair and also make more sense, and we wouldn't be losing money helping out other departments.
Well, I think. Yeah.
Something to think about. Like I said, we can just kick
Well,
that
we
around.
used to work at the golf course, whatever happened
I guess when that,
to that? Company took over?
yeah, what was it? There's a guy's name, like Jasper or something.
Yeah, Jasper.
Yeah, when they took over, that ended.
So we got in Habitat. So that's a good one.
It is a good one. We held off on sending notices out in townships and boroughs because we weren't fully staffed during that
Right.
transition.
Right.
But I think we're gonna do it this year.
Well, then I think what you guys gotta do is get a plan together. Because for me, if we're gonna do a change and, notice, goes out effective early, the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? Within the first week of the new year. Not necessarily the first day back from holidays, but the first week. So I think you guys gotta go down and see what you got available, as well as that plan, like what are the consistent jobs, what are the ones that, where else could you go, so to speak, so. Yeah. Has Kenny put in a new request lately, or?
Yeah, so he recently, actually this was the week before, not this week, but last week, they had these, like walls, petitions that were really heavy. And we had, our crew, Dwayne and Cameron, kind of similar to what happened with Dave and
Dan.
Dan.
Yeah, that was at the bottom.
Yeah, so it was, and trust me, Cameron and I went over, and it was in the morning, they were going out 6:30 to 8:30, and there was times they went past 8:30 because they just did, but it wasn't like during the middle of the day when courthouse, we wanted to get it done in the morning, and it took them a period of 3 days doing it that way. And they were, Cameron said they were heavy, and so we'll make sure you and Dwayne are yourselves doing it.
Right.
They did, the guys, they did some big strong guys down there, but the EV was one of the other guys, and
The name was small.
he's a strong guy. And,
I know the name.
I supervised him. And the guy we're actually looking to hire as our driver, his name is Jim Hines. And he was Foster, father, and he played football. And he was like the best kid out there.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, no one can have him. He was just once. And in my office, he had walked down all that. We were kind of ready to go.
Hey, Joe, you can call back into the line. Thanks.
Oops.
Just hit read it. Okay, are we back on the line?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Here.
Okay. This time I'd like to reconvene the prison board meeting. This time I'd like to have a motion to terminate Danielle Smith as the CEO for the prison.
I'll move to terminate Ms. Smith.
A second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We are adjourned. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have a key.
We get going on today.
Tonight, 6:30, we're gonna have tomorrow. I'd say about
Okay.
8.
Okay, so I will,